What's up, YouTube? My name is Dante, and here we have,
Isaiah,
and this is our first episode of Our
our
Perspective.
perspective.
So, in this first episode, we're going to be talking about baddies, otherwise known as pretty women, otherwise known as bad bitches. Now, we're gonna try our best to refrain from
We're gonna
using that
refrain from
term.
calling women bad bitches because women aren't bitches. They're
Yes,
beautiful and amazingly gorgeous people.
yes, exactly. So, we're going to be using the term baddies instead to be more respectful and things of that nature. So, the first thing we're going to be discussing is how men act around baddies. Now,
Some of y'all don't know how to act.
so this is a very controversial topic, considering that, I mean, everyone has their own type in women. You feel me? And the thing is, a lot of people think they don't act a certain way when they get around pretty women, but the chances are they do act differently. When you're around your friends, and then as a baddie comes around, you're going to act differently. Whether it's that's in your reaction, whether you're like, "Oh, who's that?" or whether you just start
Somehow, some
doing the
way,
most.
you're gonna act differently.
And a lot of
It'll be the
people,
smallest thing you'll start acting different.
yep, and a lot of people, especially, let's say you in a friend group hanging with your friends, and one of your friends know this girl and she's pretty. 9 times out of 10, that friend, he might start doing the most. He might start punching you. He might start, trying to little bro
You're gonna
you.
start acting a fool to try and impress
Try
them.
to exactly. And hey, everybody gonna have their own say on it, but I'm here to say I personally think when men get around women, they do the most. Not all the
They
time,
don't know how to act properly.
not all the time, but they do the most.
Like a good 8 times out of 10, they'll start acting out. They'll start trying to show off, trying to be like, oh, this, and this. They'll bring something up. Like it could be the oldest thing that like if they have a brand new like they just got their brand new pair of shoes, whole paycheck, whatever. That they could have gotten that 3 months ago. They gonna bring it up to try and impress her, yeah.
For real.
They're gonna find something to say, something to bring up, or they just gonna start trying to be like, yo, brother. Like sometimes I've seen it. Some people are like, yo, slap box.
For
Yo, slap
real. Oh
box.
my gosh. It's crazy.
Like it's like I mean, I'm not saying that like there's anything wrong with trying to impress a female. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's like it's the way you're going. Certain people go about it, and it's like you're doing too much.
For sure.
Like it's not even a point where it's not even impressive. It's just corny, and you just look stupid.
Nah, for real. And the second thing we're going to be talking about is pretty privilege. Now, this is hands down one of the most controversial things out there because,
It's not the most controversial thing
yep,
out there.
men are going to have their opinions, the females are going to have their opinions. But one thing we can't say is that pretty privilege doesn't exist. I mean, just look at social media for example. Like, dog, you have these absolute 10 out of 10 women. They get hundreds of thousands of followers just for existing. Meanwhile, it's like a doghouse for men to try to get famous because they gotta show more personality. They gotta try a lot harder than women do, and that could be said for multiple things across social media, like even modeling or just different things that involve social media. Pretty privilege does exist, and not just in social media. It also exists outside of social media. You're going to treat a pretty girl better than you would just a regular person that you don't find as attractive. That's just how your mind operates. It's like you're programmed that
And
way.
it's like we're not saying pretty prejudice is a bad thing because it's not. But it's like at the same time, it's like depending on the type of person like they are, it that pretty privilege is gonna go to their head and is gonna put their ego in a place where it shouldn't be. Because then they're gonna feel like, and I'm not saying that that person might not, deserve pretty privilege because they might, but if they put their ego high enough, it's gonna make them feel like they're the shit and they
Yeah,
deserve the best and they deserve this, this, and this, and this. But then it's like at the same time, while that person is expecting all of that, she could not be giving that person like an effort at all, like the same effort. She could just be treating that person terrible while she expects that much from them. So it's like pretty privilege isn't necessarily a bad thing to the right people, but like to the wrong people, it's not gonna go well because if your ego is that high, like Like if the role when the roles are reversed and when a man's ego is that high, it's automatically a big huge problem. So and some people think they find it like, oh, but it's different. It's not that different. It's really not that different.
And Isaiah's right.
But
Like
it's
pretty
like
privilege to a certain degree is not a bad thing. There's some women out there that do deserve pretty privilege because they didn't have it easy growing up. Like there's different experiences. Some people get bullied. Some people go through certain things that cause them to turn out a certain way. So it's like, let's say this girl, she, you know, grew up elementary school, bullied, made fun of, things of that nature. And then, she got older, she's high school or even past high school, and she glowed up, she looks a lot better, and now she's getting pretty privilege. That girl deserves pretty privilege because growing up she had it rough. She didn't have it like that. She was getting bullied, made fun of, etc. So in certain circumstances, it's okay to have pretty privilege. But it's just when you let pretty privilege dominate your ego and make you feel as if you're better than everybody else, that's when it becomes an issue.
that's when it becomes a problem.
And men aren't allowed to have that. If a man has an ego super high, no woman's gonna like
That's
that.
automatically a problem. Nope. They find that they find it as an ick, and then it's like they're not gonna talk to you, and they find the problem, and it's just now you're just a complete dub, and now you're done. But then it's like when a girl has this, most of the time they expect it to be okay,
It's more normalized.
and it's like it's not exactly. And in some cases, there are girls who may have, or like they just automatically feel like that they deserve pretty privilege out of nowhere. Like just because of based on what they've seen from the internet and this and this, they automatically think, yeah, that's what I deserve, that's what I want. But and it's like people who like think like that, they're not. Those aren't the right people to end up having it because it's like the only reason you want it is because you've seen other people have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's not a bad thing to want what other people have, but it's like when you
Everybody's
try to
gonna be
make that your
envious.
whole when you try to make that your whole personality, and then it's just like you try to make your ego go that high, especially when it doesn't go, it's not supposed to go that high, and it's not supposed to be like that. You start treating people terribly, and you don't even act like yourself. If we're being honest, you just act like someone with a big ego, and then it's like you wonder why you don't end up getting in the first place because of how you're treating people.
And this leads into the next thing. If a baddie is single, something ain't right.
Yeah, because okay, realistically, y'all cannot disagree with us. That's it's a bit suspicious because it's like, all right, boom. If you're outside or whatever and you see an amazingly beautiful, gorgeous 10 out of 10, like she is the most gorgeous girl that you have ever seen,
Ever.
you're automatically gonna you're automatically gonna think, oh yeah, she has a man, or like she has to be talking to someone, because it's like when you look at them, you're like, there's no way someone that beautiful is not talking to anyone or doesn't have a boyfriend or whatever the case may be.
And that's another thing. Like a lot of girls, they always wonder. Like you'll see this all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, etc. It'll be under a post, and there'll be in the comments, "Oh, why do men not like approaching women?" It's because of the fact that when you look so beautiful, it's intimidating, and a lot of people are going to, or a lot of men are going to assume, "Oh, she looks like this, man. First of all, I don't have a chance." Or second of all, she definitely has a man, and that factor itself is automatically going to scare you away and be like, yeah, nah, it's not worth it. So to answer a lot of females questions, that is the reason why men don't like approaching women on the street.
That, and also because it's
The creep
like a
factor.
good portion of the time, yeah, that too, and it's like a good portion of the time, men will definitely have tried to at least approach one amazingly gorgeous female before, but the way that female reacted to them, because it's like if you've noticed, like if you've seen it, because I've seen it a few times. If you've noticed, females will automatically, like the moment you try and say something to them, they'll automatically shut it down.
Mm,
Like before you even get to finish the sentence, they'll automatically shut it down.
yeah,
And it's like you didn't even give that person a chance to say something at least.
yeah, and that one
And it's
experience.
also this, yeah, it messes you up, and this also leads into what I was saying earlier about people's ego being high,
Yeah,
because it's like someone like you, like an amazingly beautiful girl whose ego is mad high, like she could have dropped something, and it's like me or you could have like went and picked it up, but like, excuse me, and she's automatically gonna try to shut it down. Like she's gonna think that you're trying to talk to her when that's not the case at all. You're just trying to hand her back something that she lost, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I've seen it many times, and most likely you guys will end up having to see it on social media at least like a few times.
Yeah. And like above everybody else because of the fact that they are so extremely beautiful. If a girl who is a 10 out of 10 isn't in a relationship, you're going to suspect something because they look so good. And every man wants a baddie. Every man wants a 10 out of 10 baddie. There's no ifs, ands, or
So
buts
like
about
when,
it.
yeah, and then when a baddie says they're not talking to anyone or no one's hitting their DMs or this, that's a lie.
Exactly.
Because there's no way you look that gorgeous and there's no one saying something about it. There's always going to be someone saying something about it. Whether if you're posting on Instagram and they swipe up on your story, if it's a post, they're going to swipe up on the comments or they're going to heart the story. There's always going to be something about it. So if a female says that no one is doing that or no one's swiping up or this, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Because that is quite literally impossible. Like if we bring out the mathematics, that's impossible. There's no way, mathematically speaking, literally speaking, there's no way that someone or at least not one person
and
is
we
hitting
gonna
up your
assume
thing.
that there's either
Something's
something wrong with you or you just meeting the wrong people.
No, it's not in a bad way.
Yeah,
for everybody, listen, not in a bad way. We don't mean it in a bad way, but it's like that's like if you let's say like if you run into the most handsome guy possible, it's for the girls. Like, let's say if you run into the most handsome guy possible, and you're like, "Ooh, he looks nice," blah blah blah. You're gonna think he definitely has girls hitting his line. He definitely has a girlfriend. You're gonna think something. There's no way you're not gonna think anything at all. So it's like if he told you that no one is hitting him up or this, you're gonna be like in your head, you're gonna be like, "Huh? He looked this good, and then nothing's gonna happen. That's suspicious." Okay. So hopefully that puts in like a little bit of a better perspective for you guys, in case like it was a little not understanding that for not really that clear. So now it puts it in a better perspective.
And now we're gonna talking about this. This is one of the more controversial ones as well. They're all fairly controversial in their own right, but some are definitely more controversial than others. This being one of them. Is it possible to be friends with women? Now, oh my gosh, there are definitely two sides of the coin with this one. I'm gonna let Isaiah speak about this first, and then I'll touch on it.
Damn, okay. Um. So it's basically in this generation. I'm not saying that it's hard to be friends with girls, because it's really not. Depending on the type of person who you are, because it's like if you look for being friends with girls just to like do something with them or whatever the case may be, like date them or whatever the case may be, obviously that's not gonna work that well, and it's not gonna end up being the way you intended. Which is why a lot of girls now suspect when a guy tries to like talk to them or like actually be their friend, because it's like, huh? So it's like it's understandable why a lot of girls feel that way. But at the same time, it's like sometimes, like from my outside perspective, if you see a girl chilling with a guy or whatever, you're gonna be like, and you're just chilling, seeing vibing, whatever the case may be. You're gonna be like, oh, they seem like good friends, or it's gonna be that one person that's gonna be like, oh yeah, they together.
Yeah.
When that's not the case, when it's just you're just two good friends, and it's just like that leads to most of the time people assuming and be like, oh yeah, they're together. That's no, they're just friends.
And this is the thing that really makes it controversial is the fact that a lot of people automatically think like, oh, when you're friends with a female, especially a pretty one at that, someone who you find attractive, they're going to assume, oh, you're friends with a pretty female, but at some point you're probably going to catch feelings. A lot of people assume that you're going to end up catching feelings for this female, and once you catch feelings, they automatically assume you can't be friends. But the thing is,
and it's also like, what's it called? Some females, when you say that you're trying to be their friend, they're not gonna believe you.
facts.
Like sometimes they're not gonna believe you, and they're gonna think that you only want to hit or whatever the case may be. When that's literally not the case. When you just like their vibe and their personality and who they are, and you just want to be their friend. Sometimes females aren't gonna believe you at first.
For sure, yeah.
Eventually they will, but at first they're not gonna believe you.
Yeah, they're gonna be skeptical. Like anybody would be skeptical about that. But the thing is, what I say, I think it is possible to be friends with women. Now, everyone's human. You're going to develop feelings at some point, and I'm not saying you're going to develop feelings for your friends, but there are people out there that do develop feelings for their friends. It's a normal thing. You're human. It's going to happen, especially if that person that you call feelings for is attractive. If they're attractive, you're going to catch feelings. Does that mean you can't be friends with them no more? Absolutely not.
Nope.
You're just
You
gonna
can still be friends with them.
you're just gonna feel a little bit differently about them, but that doesn't mean you can't be friends with them anymore. It really just depends on the person.
And it also just depends on the type of person who you are. And yeah, like Dante said, it depends on them, and it depends on you also. Cause it's like Dante said, you could just because you have a feeling, like you may end up catching feelings. Like at some point, some people always end up catching feelings. Some people, not always, but like sometimes they do. Whether that's because of how that person is treating you, or it's like you like how they're talking to you or showing affection to you, whatever the case may be. You might be like, oh, I like this, and it's like you might end up catching feelings a little bit, and it's like sometimes in the back of your mind you're probably like, this feels wrong. Like I shouldn't do this. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to feel that way, because it's like that person was your friend, and you wanted to be friends with them, and now you call it feelings. So it's like, I get that part, but it's not wrong to end up having feelings for that person. That doesn't mean you can't still be friends with them, because of course you can. Because at the end of the day, you were friends first.
Yeah.
So
now, this is one of the last things we're gonna speak about. Is it possible to be in a healthy relationship while having pretty friends, baddie friends, etc.?
Now, that's a good question.
This one is a very, very, very good question. Now, I would say it depends. Like, just like a lot of these questions, it depends. Now, what does it depend on? It really just depends on you, and it depends on your partner. Cause if your girl is a type that's like, oh, you can't have friends or you can't have female friends, da 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 da, then of course it's not going to be possible. But if you have a girl that's more open minded and doesn't care as much, yes, it's possible. It's just the reason why it may not seem possible to some people is just because the women are gonna assume, oh, you're surrounded by all these pretty women, you're doing something you're not supposed to. I can't prove it, but that's what my mind
But you're
is
doing
saying.
something.
Exactly.
And that 100%, most of the time, that's gonna lead to so many arguments between relationships. There's 100%. There's probably like a good 70-80% of relationships that are probably ended for something like that. And it's not only for the boys having like what's it called, girl best friends that are pretty. It also goes for the girls too who have male best friends.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but like Dante said, it depends on you and your partner. Because like if there's trust there and you know that you can trust that person, at the end of the day, you don't have to trust anybody else. You just have to trust your partner, whether that's your boyfriend or that's your girlfriend, whatever the case may be. You have to trust your partner.
Yeah.
Because if you don't trust your partner, that's gonna lead to you having so many thoughts, and it's gonna lead to you asking so many questions, and it's gonna lead to arguments. And who knows, you're gonna end up breaking up over something so stupid that could have literally been avoided by just a question.
And that's the thing. Like, I'd say a good 90+% of relationships end over trust issues. Now, the thing is,
100%.
trust issues derive from many things. They derive from past experiences. They derive from current experiences or things you've seen in other people and things of that nature. But the thing is with trust is I won't say that you always have to trust people, because you're, like I said, I like to say this a lot. This is something I personally believe in. You're never really going to know someone's true character, someone's true intentions. No matter how much you feel like you know a person, you don't know what's going on in the back of their head. You don't. Because only they can hear their thoughts. You can't. So everybody is allowed to have their own personal shield to a certain degree. Now, I do think you should have trust in your partner, because why would you get into a relationship with somebody if you're not going to trust them?
If you don't trust them, yeah.
But at the same time, if they do a bunch of things that cause you to think differently or question that trust, then it makes sense for you to develop a little bit of trust issues. But like Isaiah said, that's going to cause relationship problems. So it really depends on your personality as well. Like, are you the type of person to not care? Are you nonchalant? Are you chill? Are you overprotective? Like, all these things play a part in this.
And another thing also that I want to add on to what you were saying, like the trust part could also like you said, it comes from past trauma, this and that, third, but it also comes from what they see on the internet. That's another thing because you could have a good relationship, a good this and that, but then as soon as either partner, it's not just for one partner, it could be either or. As soon as they see something on the internet that that person is getting this and like they constantly see it with other people, they're gonna be like, why is my partner not doing this for me? And then it's like a lot of people these days base their relationships on what they see on the internet, and they automatically assume that's how it's gonna be and that's how it is. So it's like it ruins your perception on relationships.
Yeah.
And it's like it gets annoying because it's like that raises people to have such unrealistically high standards, and it's like you know that you cannot meet those standards, and it's like deep down you know those standards that you're talking about are very very unrealistic. You're just basing it on what you've seen from the internet and from other people. At the end of the day, those other people are not you. They're not your partner. So it's like their standards and what they do are completely different from what you do and what your partner do. So it's like when people base things off of what they see on the internet, it raises their perceptions and it changes their perceptions of relationships and how it should be. Especially in this generation, I feel like a good portion of relationships are just based on what they've seen.
Yes.
And it makes people like want a relationship but not want a relationship
At the same time.
It's like they just want, how do I explain it? It's like they want the affectionateness of the relationship, not the actual relationship itself. And it's like they just want the benefits that come with the relationship, not the actual relationship. And it's like the internet these days really kind of ruins the perception of relationships.
And that's where standards come in. Now, everyone has their own standards, you know. The thing is, some people have unrealistically high standards compared to others. But you're allowed to have your own opinion. I went in the gas station, by the way. My fault. I didn't tell you. You're allowed to have your own opinion, your own standards, but you shouldn't raise your standards higher than what you should be allowed. If you're somebody that's making a certain amount of money, you shouldn't have standards for, you know, like, for example, let's say you work at McDonald's. You shouldn't be expecting a 10 out of 10 model to come flocking your way just because you have a job and you make money. The thing is, damn, I'm losing it.
Why do you think I'm gonna cut you off for a second? It's also like some people expect like expensive things, or like their standards are unrealistically high, like I was saying. So they expect so many things, but at the same time, it's like when they expect these things, they also have to come to realize that their partner is doing what they can. And what's it called? They're doing what they can, and it's like they can't do everything. They can't give you everything, but they do try to give what they can. And it's like because of what people see these days, it's like what people's best isn't what they want their best to be. And it's like with their unrealistic expectations, it's like if you're giving this person, whether it's a girl or a female, your best, and it's like it's still not enough for them.
It's not enough.
And they start like that's the problem because it's like, and you say that you're giving your best and you're trying all that you can, and it's still a problem for them. Then honestly, you shouldn't be with that person.
Yeah, and that's
because I guarantee that means they have such unrealistically high standards. Because if their best isn't good enough, well, if your best isn't good enough for them, there's a problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, people have become very underappreciative of what they have due to these standards. Like, you gotta understand, some people are willing to go so far for you compared to others, but at the same time, because of the way you think, you're not really clocking this, you're not understanding this, and you're gonna throw it away for something worse, or throw it away just because you're overthinking, or you think it's not good enough, or things like that. But
and it's also like because of that, again, so many relationships end because it's like you see what you see on the internet, and that's what you assume that you're gonna have in your relationship. And then it's like when you throw your relationship away because they didn't live up to those unrealistic internet standards, and after that person is gone and you leave and that person leaves you alone, now you're gonna start to miss it.
yeah,
Because now you're gonna be like, damn, I actually did have it all. You know, I miss it, I miss this, and now that person's not gonna want to take you back because when they did give you everything they had, you didn't want it and you couldn't accept it. So it's like, why would they come back to you in the first place?
Exactly. So with that, we are going to tell you guys today's scenario. So each episode we're going to have
Mm.
a scenario, and this scenario is going to be, we're going to answer the scenario ourselves, and we're obviously asking you guys a scenario as well, and you guys are going to comment down below your answers to
What your answer to the scenario is.
exactly. So today's scenario is, if you're dating a baddie, 10 out of 10, whatever, pretty female, whatever you want to consider it, would you allow her to do baddie things such as post herself on the internet, hang out at places without you, etc.? Isaiah, take the floor.
All right. So personally, I think for me personally, I don't care that much for real, because like at the end of the day, I'm gonna be under the comments being like, yeah. So it's like I'm okay with it, but it's like to a certain extent, because it's like okay, obviously, and also self-respect comes a lot into perspective here, and along with also being controlling, those two come into a lot of perspective here. So obviously, if your girl's amazing, she's beautiful, baddie, obviously, and you let her post what she wants, yeah, she could post what she wants. But also, self-respect comes in because most times, well, not most times, sometimes some girls post themselves like half naked, and then sometimes they think that it's okay and that you should be okay with it, even if you feel like you don't really like it and you vocalize that you don't like it. Sometimes they might make it a problem because it's like, oh, I can post what I want, blah blah blah, and it's like obviously she can post what she wants, but then at the same time it's like you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
so it's like you also have to take an account of your partner's feelings.
Yeah.
And if that, because it's like if the roles were reversed, you wouldn't like it. I don't think you would like if they kept doing it either.
Exactly.
So it's like you would have to take perspective of that and how they feel. But it's like personally, if my partner takes into considerations on how I feel about it and stuff like that, and they don't post like them half naked or whatever the case may be, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Cause like yeah, of course you could post yourself. You're beautiful. Go ahead, post yourself. I don't mind. I'm gonna be the first person on there.
Yeah.
But it's like, and it's like certain things like okay, going places without me. Obviously you can, because if
I'm
I
not your
say no,
father.
that's gonna sound, yeah, like, I'm not your father. I'm not the one that controls your life. If you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. But
Self-respect.
certain things like okay, that too. That, like I was saying, that also comes into a thing. Like if you go to a party and let's say you didn't let your partner know,
That's crazy.
that's crazy. And that's a bit of a red flag, because it's like that person could have been texting you or whatever, and you're not responding. So they're automatically gonna think something is wrong.
Yeah.
Or they're especially if they're like an overthinker. Like me personally, like I'm an overthinker. If you're somewhere and you're not texting me and I see that you're somewhere, I'm gonna start thinking. My mind is just gonna start coming up with stuff until you say something.
Yeah.
So it's like for all the overthinking out there, I completely understand what you be going through. I understand, but like I understand completely. But like if that person tells you, oh yeah, I'm going to this and this, and you're like okay okay, and like they give you and they tell you like what they're doing and blah blah blah, like then that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you're just at a party and you just don't text them the whole time, besides the time that you told them that you were at the party, in some cases that for some people that might be a problem, because like they don't know what you're doing there, and this goes back to having trust issues
Yeah.
or just being an overthinker. You don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like you can think that they're doing this person, well, yeah, doing this person, or doing that, or or doing this, or whatever the case may be. So it's like obvious. Personally, I think if my partner wants to go and she's amazing and she's beautiful, whatever the case may be, if she wants to go to a party like with her friends or with her cousin or whatever the case may be, of course she can go. Because at the end of the day, I'm not her father, so I'm not gonna control. I'm not her parents. I'm not gonna control what she does. If she wants to do it, she can. As long as she like gives me updates and tells me what's going on, this is this and stuff like that. Because like I said, like I'm an overthinker, so my brain is gonna start assuming unless I have an answer or whatever the case may be. So it's like to put my mind at ease if my partner tells me that, oh yeah, they're giving me updates doing this and this, but okay, and that's fine. But if your partner, even if you're not overthinking, and your partner just goes there and just doesn't communicate with you the whole time, you're gonna start assuming the worst.
All right. So that
That's
was
my
Isaiah's answer. Very thorough, very I'm not gonna lie.
Very detailed.
There's not much I can. There's not much I can add on because he basically kind of hit all the marks. But basically, I'm gonna just say, if I was dating a baddie, would I allow her to do baddie things? Yes. Now, everyone's different. The way I am, I'm more of a kind of like a chill, laid back kind of person. So things fly with me fairly easily. I'm not gonna control you. If you want to post yourself, go ahead. I'm gonna just be supporting you in the background, like, yeah, that's my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's what you guys should do because that shows that you're not being insecure. Because that's another thing, and a lot of men don't realize when you show like the overprotectiveness in certain ways, like obviously when you're being overprotective outside, that's completely different. But if you're being overprotective over her on the internet, that shows insecurity in her eyes. And when you show insecurity to a female or a woman, bro, she's going to view you differently, and that's going to absolutely ruin how she sees you as a man and just etc. So I would let her do whatever she wants. It's just to a certain extent. Like Isaiah said, you have to have self-respect. If she's posting herself damn near fucking naked, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would I sit there and just, not say something and speak out about it?
Especially if it makes you feel some type of way about it.
Exactly. But in terms of going places, as long as you just say like, "Oh, I'm here," and you're like updating while you're there and not just completely disappearing, then there's nothing wrong with that. You can do whatever you want. It's just this comes back to the trust thing. You just have to have trust in your partner, because if you don't trust them, the relationship isn't gonna thrive. And the thing is, there's people that like they'll be in a relationship for so many years and they just come to abrupt ends because of things like trust issues or finding things out that they did in the past and things of that nature. Like, I know you guys doom scroll on IG or TikTok and you'll see these stories about like, oh, this couple that are 90 years old that have been together for 40 years divorced because he found out she was cheating on him.
He found out 70 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like, you
you
just gotta have trust, to a certain degree, obviously, but have respect for yourself and don't let people control you, and don't let people
or your relationship.
Exactly. Just it needs to be mutual, otherwise it's not gonna work. With that being said,
yeah, you just have to trust that person and just be all in with that person all the time. Because it's like if there's no trust in the relationship, and if you're not all in the relationship, then what is the point of the relationship?
Exactly. With that being said,
the whole point of the relationship is damn. Wait, let me finish my statement. Hold on. So yeah, it's like if you're there, you have to be there for one another. You always have to be there. You have to trust that person. That person has to trust you. You have to love that person. That person has to love you. And you just have to be all in with each other, because that's the only ever way that relationship is gonna thrive, no matter what. Like whether it's a party or whether someone's not trying to come in between you two, whatever the case may be. If you're all in with each other, there's nothing I can't do.
Just don't let her disrespect you, or vice versa. Don't let him disrespect you either.
No, none of y'all disrespect each other.
Exactly.
It's like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And also, if you do get disrespected, don't stay in the relationship. Open your eyes, please, because that's how you get messed up.
Because if they disrespect you once, they're gonna keep going and keep going.
Exactly. They're gonna test that limit over and over and over again.
They're gonna see how far they could get you, and they're like, oh, okay, and then they're gonna keep doing it to that extent.
Yep.
And then that's just the relationship is just gonna crumble from the inside, and then it's over at that point.
With that being said, we don't have anything else to talk about. God damn, you fucking piece of shit motorcycle or car, whatever that was. Anyways, with that being said, this is the end of episode 1 of the Our Perspective podcast. Clap it up, clap it up. Like I said,
we hope y'all enjoyed.
Wait, like I said, put down below in the comments the answers to the scenario question. We want to know what you guys think.
We want to see what y'all expect of us, and we'll bring it up come the next episode.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. And we hope y'all enjoyed today's podcast episode. It was a bit controversial, I guess we could say. It was pretty controversial. There's probably going to be some questions in the end, but
also let us know any topics you want to see us discuss in the future podcasts, because we're open to talking about
We're
many
open to any
just
open
don't
discussions, anything like that.
just don't we're not going I'm just let y'all know right now we're not going to talk about politics. Sorry if that's what you're into, but
We are not politicians
we're
over
not
here.
politicians.
Go
We're
somewhere else
not
on that one.
we're not going into that. We're not going into like, you know, the you feel me? Just we're keeping it very
Very subtle, very calm, very
subtle
peaceful.
oriented, you know what I'm saying, but controversial to a certain degree. Just don't give us no topics that
No politics.
is gonna be controversial to the point where we start getting canceled. We not doing all that.
Nah,
Please be respectful.
we are not doing that. And also, if you guys have any like scenario question that you guys want to hear our answer to, or just want to comment down below, you can do that too.
Yes.
And we'll possibly bring it up in the next episode, or the episode after that. But we would love to hear you guys' suggestions.
With that being said, that's the end of this podcast episode, and we'll see you guys at episode 2. Bye bye.
Later.